By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why your cycle length changes, what those shifts actually mean, and when it's time to call your doctor. And that last reason I'm going to walk you through. It's something most healthcare providers won't bring up unless you specifically ask. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's figure this out together. Here's the thing. Your menstrual cycle isn't supposed to be exactly 28 days every single month. That's a myth that's been hanging around for decades, and it's created a lot of unnecessary worry. A healthy cycle can range anywhere from 21 to 35 days, and it's totally normal for that length to shift by a few days here and there. What matters is understanding why it changes and whether something bigger is going on. Let's start with the most common culprit: stress. It sounds almost too simple, but chronic stress is one of the biggest cycle disruptors out there. When you're stressed, your body produces more cortisol. That's your primary stress hormone, and it basically sends a signal to your brain that now is not a good time to reproduce. Your hypothalamus, that's the control center in your brain, responds by dialing back the hormones that trigger ovulation. The result? Your period shows up late, or sometimes it doesn't show up at all for a month or two. This is called secondary amenorrhea, and it's more common than you'd think. A study published in the journal Human Reproduction in 2022 followed over 2,000 women for a full year, and they found that women reporting high stress levels were nearly twice as likely to experience cycle irregularities compared to those with lower stress. That's a huge number. Here's what this looks like in real life. Sarah, not her real name, but close, was a graduate student working on her dissertation. Her cycles had been rock solid at 30 days for years. Then she entered her final year of writing, and suddenly she was skipping months. 1, 2, 3 months gone. She went to her doctor thinking something was seriously wrong. After running some tests, everything came back normal. The doctor asked about her stress levels. Once she defended her dissertation and her cortisol settled down, her cycles came back like clockwork within 2 months. That's the stress effect in action. All right, that's the easy one. Now, here's where it gets more interesting. Your body weight and the changes you make to it can also create significant shifts in your cycle length. This works in both directions, and the mechanism is actually pretty well understood. Body fat plays a role in estrogen production. Fat cells actually convert other hormones into estrogen, so when your body fat percentage drops too low, especially below around 17% for most women, your estrogen levels can plummet. That sends a signal that the environment isn't safe for reproduction, and ovulation either slows down or stops entirely. This is why athletes and dancers who maintain very low body weights often experience irregular cycles or lose their periods altogether. But the flip side matters too. If you gain a significant amount of weight in a short period, that sudden increase in estrogen can cause your cycles to shorten dramatically. Some women go from 30-day cycles to 23 or 24-day cycles. That's a noticeable shift, and it can be alarming if you don't know what's causing it. I want to be really clear about something here. I'm not talking about normal weight fluctuations. I'm talking about significant changes. The kind that happen when you're actively trying to lose or gain weight, or when something else is going on with your metabolism. If you're eating well and exercising moderately and your weight is stable, your cycles are probably going to be pretty consistent. If this is making sense so far, and you'd like more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. I put out content like this every week, and I've got a lot more coming on hormone health and cycle tracking. Now for the third piece, the one most people never hear about unless they dig into the research. Here it is: your thyroid. This small butterfly-shaped gland in your neck controls your metabolism, but it also has a huge influence on your reproductive system. Both an underactive thyroid, that's hypothyroidism, and an overactive thyroid, hyperthyroidism, can throw your cycle length completely off. Here's why this matters so much. Research from the American Thyroid Association estimates that up to 20% of women will develop a thyroid disorder at some point in their lives, and a huge percentage of them don't even know it. The symptoms can be subtle: fatigue, weight changes, feeling cold or hot all the time, hair thinning. Many women brush these off as normal stress or aging. But when your thyroid is off, your cycles often change first. If you have hypothyroidism, your cycles tend to get longer and heavier. Some women go from 5-day periods to 7 or 8-day periods with significantly more flow. With hyperthyroidism, the opposite tends to happen. Cycles become shorter, lighter, and sometimes stop altogether. A simple blood test measuring your TSH levels, that's thyroid stimulating hormone, can tell you if your thyroid is the issue. This is the question I get all the time. When should you actually worry? When is a cycle shift just normal noise versus something that needs medical attention? Here's my framework. You want to pay attention to 3 things. First, how big is the shift? A variance of 3 to 5 days from your normal is usually nothing to stress about. A shift of 2 weeks or more, that's worth getting checked out. Second, how long has it been going on? One weird month happens to everyone. 3 or 4 in a row, that's a pattern. Third, how do you feel? If your cycle changes and you're also dealing with unexplained fatigue, major hair loss, rapid weight changes, or symptoms that just feel off, that's a reason to call your doctor. Let that sink in for a second. Most cycle changes are your body's completely normal response to something. Stress, weight adjustments, travel, sleep disruption. But when the shift is big, persistent, or comes with other symptoms, your thyroid is one of the first things to check. So there you have it. Stress can delay or stop ovulation. Significant weight changes shift your estrogen and disrupt your cycle length and your thyroid, often silently. Can be pulling the strings without you ever knowing. Those 3 factors account for the vast majority of cycle irregularities that aren't related to pregnancy or menopause. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who could use this information, and subscribe, because next week I'm diving into how to actually track your cycle the right way. Not just counting days, but reading the signals your body is sending you every single week. I'll see you then.